Mussolini.
Oh, man.
We're live, buddy.
Oh, man. We're back. We're back.
That's right. June 8th, 2021. Moose made the call. We had to do a podcast. We got a lot to talk about today, man. Had to do it.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a good list of topics, some things that we want to discuss, throw some kind of commentary around a bit. There's a couple of things that I wanted to cover that we'll get to, and then there's a couple of things that you specifically wanted to cover. So it's gonna be good, man. Should we just kind of go through the list of what we're gonna, give people a preview of what's gonna be on the show?
Yeah. So today's podcast is brought to you by the SMT, of course. We had a mega announcement yesterday with the WWDC conference, right, from Apple. Every year they show off the latest and greatest of their software ingenuity and innovations from 12 months, right? Within the 12 months that have passed. Something big in terms of the wireless side was announced really low key. I mean, it was not even spoken about, man. Like, it was just a coincidental. Hey, look at your cellular settings. Boom, there's something there we got to talk about. Even more covertly was 5G being preferred over Wi-Fi now. That's even more like shocking to us. We're going to talk about the Apple Music Lossless, how that affects the carriers, specifically T-Mobile, as you know. They're the strictest in regards to the caps, right, for gaming, video gaming,
right,
music, video streaming, 480p, etc. We're talking about the T-Mobile small cells comments from Neville Ray, right? The ludicrous.
That's one that I wanted to cover. I think some people misunderstood what he said, misunderstood what I was saying. I think some people are apologizing for certain carriers that are de-emphasizing certain network technologies. And I can't jive with that. You know what I mean? So there's certain things I want to say and discuss on that topic. And I just don't see a networking world that's better without an emphasis on small cells, because I know that there is a finite amount of space under certain conditions in certain cities and municipalities. It's going to be hard to zone 700 macro cells in a city. It's going to be much easier to zone a few hundred and then also build a few hundred small cells.
Right.
So, and to be honest with you, after seeing the way that certain carriers have done certain things, I know the potential of proper network management. So anyways, we'll discuss it.
Right. And then the big one that was also surprise of the day was the Google Stadia partnership with AT&T.
Random and out of nowhere. Seemingly.
Out of nowhere. Right. We're accustomed to seeing these type of announcements from Verizon.
Right.
You're getting Apple Music, Disney Discovery Plus, Disney Bundle, Apple Arcade and Android Arcade. I mean, there's just, and we're expecting another one but before the end of the quarter anyways. So yeah, we definitely got to talk about that.
What's up, Siova? Good to see you guys. And by the way, big shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. We do have a couple of new members on the Patreon, so I do want to do like a quick little formal shout out or whatever. Let's do that here. I think we added like 2 or 3 this week, so we're very excited to have them. Big shout out to C Diesel, Jerry, Victor. Welcome back to Ryan. We've also got Nick, James, Joe, Tomas, Tim, Armando, and Philip. So we're glad to have you guys. They're the most recent additions dating back to May. So we're glad to have you and welcome all to the community. And then my moderators, Big Mike. We've got also, who else is moderating in here? I think Chucky's here today. We got Josh. We got Baby Yoda. We got MS, Ugly Duckling Roasts. 7 Lucifers here. Chaim, good to see you, buddy. Josh is in the house. And I see Joe. I see the homie Siova's here. Will23 is saying, okay, what about Boost Mobile? Go ahead, Moose. What about Boost?
Man, That's interesting, right? I mean, Boost, they did the partnership with the betting, right?
I know, with the DraftKings,
The
right? That's the most
DraftKings.
recent news.
That's very interesting. Definitely would love to talk. I'm going to write that down. Hold up. We got to talk about that.
And then they're also, it looks like they're moving towards a postpaid offer pretty soon. But they're going to have to rebrand that to something other than Boost. It's not going to be Boost Mobile postpaid. It's going to have to be some sort of a Dish branded postpaid something, right? Aaron, good to see you. I thought Stadia was shutting down. What? Really? Jamie's in the house. King Sniper is here. Patreon VIP. Yes, sir. Very important. Very. My dude Silva's in the house. Silva, are we still doing the 24-hour podcast live stream right now? Like, what's happening there? Huh. No updates as of right now, King Sniper. But from what I understand, there is something going on in the background. So when that information does become available, we'll update you for sure. What's up, Nathan? Good to see you. All right, Moose. Topic number 1, man. Go ahead, bro.
Man, this is a pretty big scene, man. Immediately once I figured this out, I called you and I was like, we got to talk about this. It was, to me, this is, if not the biggest revolution in terms of SIM technology, but this changes the game. What I'm talking about is iOS 15 beta 1 is now for developers, live for developers. You can download it. If anybody's interested, you can Google how to get the public beta when it comes out later this week, or if not next week. We have been conditioned by the carriers that in order for you to do anything with your SIM card, you have to go to a store, have a rep change your SIM card manually. And the purpose of that was because clearly if you come into the store, they're going to try to upsell you. Any company is going to try to upsell you, whether it's car business, whether it's Best Buy, right? Whether it's cell phone carriers. So the interesting thing that Apple did yesterday is that you are going to be able to completely bypass going to the store, and there's a button Sneed covered in yesterday's video where it says, quote, convert SIM to eSIM. You can convert your physical SIM line directly on your phone for free. That's another thing too, Sneedman, right? Carriers, if you go to a store, they charge you to do this.
There's a charge.
Yeah.
Right. And each carrier is a little different, by the way, Moose, in terms of the charge.
Right.
I think T-Mobile's got 2 charges. They've got a SIM charge and then a service charge.
Right.
So,
yeah. The big interesting thing about this is, okay, does it actually work, right? I know we were talking on the phone. We were talking about it. We were like, okay, we know that it's possible to do it. Are you going to do it? And I said, of course. So I ended up doing it. The process is very straightforward, as Apple is always straightforward, right? I'm going to read you off the screenshots that I took so that the viewers know what I'm talking about. So the button says on the very bottom of your cellular plan, right? On your, like, if you have multiple eSIM profiles, you go into like the one that's a physical SIM. You go to the very bottom, it says convert to eSIM. Once you press convert to eSIM, it says this cellular plan is a physical SIM. You can convert it to an eSIM. And then there's a blue button on the bottom that says convert to cellular plan to eSIM. Then it says dual SIM works only if you have one physical SIM and one eSIM installed in your iPhone. If you are planning to use dual SIM in the future, do not convert it to eSIM. After conversion, your SIM is no longer active and can be removed from the SIM tray. So you can put another physical SIM on there. It doesn't have to be the one that your phone came with.
Right.
Initially, it said that the eSIM transfer request for AT&T, it was like an error, right? But which is interesting is that they have a mechanism for this, right? Each carrier has a mechanism to activate eSIMs. We did a little bit of a history lesson yesterday when we were on a conference call, Sneed, Tyrone, myself, back with the original iPad, cellular iPad. That was the first eSIM from
Was that
Apple.
about 2 years ago? A year and a half ago?
I think if I'm not mistaken, it was 2018, 2017, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of years. Wow.
It's been a couple years for the eSIM introduction, but it was only for iPads. Then the next eSIM from Apple was the Apple Watches. So now that...
Which was just, I mean, it had to happen. That was the only way that they were going to work.
There's no way that you can put a physical SIM card into a small watch anyway.
No.
The next step is obviously the phones. And we know that in the beginning of eSIM, back in the 10S days, it was a QR code, right? It was a code. You had to either get it mailed to you, or somebody's going to have to take a picture for you, or some nonsense.
Right.
Now you have a mechanism where once it's pressed, it says your primary SIM card line, it's going to say converted on the actual cellular settings. And it worked, man.
And I think the most impressive part is that if you're on a carrier that doesn't support eSIM, this could still force the eSIM.
Exactly.
So, like, say, for example, Boost Mobile doesn't support eSIM. I don't know if they do or not. I haven't heard that they do. Do they? Or does Cricket?
Sprint supported eSIM, so I'm assuming that Boost systems are,
I don't know. Maybe they can or whatever, but like I think about some of the prepaid and MVNOs that have not yet transitioned to that feature. Well, you could do that now. You've got your own iPhone. You bought it from the Apple Store or whatever secondary wholesaler, retailer, whatever. You don't have to feel compelled to only have a physical SIM. The eSIM is nice, for having a second SIM with the physical and the eSIM. That's really convenient now, especially so if you take a look at my situation, I'm getting really sick and tired of carrying around 4 phones. I'm trying to reduce my phone situation for testing down to 3 phones, 2 for testing, 1 for recording. Right. So because the 3 for testing, it's unreasonable, man. I got 3 phones up on my dash. People are looking at me messed up and funny, and I don't know if people are trying to rob me, bro. I don't know what's going on. So, legit, I just want to shrink my phone footprint from 3 testing and 1 recording to 2 testing and 1 recording. So now I can put 2 eSIM profiles onto my iPhone and also have a physical SIM in there. And then I could technically put all 3 on the same phone, but just to keep things simple enough, I'm going to do 2 eSIMs on one phone and put a physical SIM in another, and then just turn the SIMs off and on as I need to test them. And honestly, it's kind of nice knowing that I can do that, not have to go into the store, Moose, not have to call a customer care representative or a chat rep and then try to explain that to them. I mean, do you remember what happened to Carlos, dude, when he did that Verizon eSIM?
Yeah.
His lines, literally his lines and his account was in limbo for 40 days.
It's ridiculous how, something so simple as connecting you, the user, to the network can't be done simply from an electronic source. An eSIM is already embedded in your device. Should be
it's hardware. eSIM is actually a hardware element if you think about it. The phone actually has to be able to take on the eSIM, it has an ID. So when take for example, today I wanted to move my physical SIM to an eSIM on the iPhone. You need to use your EID, your electronic identification number, for the device. So a phone actually legit has to be able to take on an eSIM.
Right.
So you're not going to do this with an iPhone 10. You're not going to do this with an iPhone 8. They don't have eSIM built into the device. Right. So with the beta, the iOS 15, you're going to have to either wait for it if you're not willing to download the beta, or if you're willing to download the beta, which some people are, and some people are not. There was somebody giving me grief in my video yesterday saying, how are you telling people to do it when you yourself haven't done it? I didn't tell anybody to do it.
Right.
I'm saying here's this new feature in iOS 15 in the
Right.
beta that you can do it, which means when this
Public.
final stable version, right,
Right.
is downloadable and it's sent, then you're going to be able to do 100% without any issues.
Right.
You know, so unfortunately, I don't know, man. It's just, I think some people are just, they're ungrateful. They don't understand what people like me are trying to do, and just
Report the news, dog.
yeah,
They're reporting the news.
like what I would want to ask that person is, do you feel less informed after watching my video, or do you feel more informed? Because honestly, like, I didn't tell you to do anything. And if your sim bricked, that's on you, because I even said it in the video, like, you're doing this on your own.
I
You
mean,
know, like,
come on, guys.
I'm
It's
just
literally beta 1.
and Moose, like, literally, all I said was it's been successfully completed on AT&T.
It is.
You know, and that's all I could confirm. I can't see. Yeah, I said I didn't try it on Verizon. I didn't try it on T-Mobile. We just said, hey, we got people doing this on the AT&T side. Everything's cool. Everything's good.
Right. And you know, the thing about betas, right? First of all, SMT says I ain't no beta. So I know what that means. It's not derogatory. It's not offensive. It's just saying I'm not going to do a beta when you know there's going to be multiple bugs. I mean, come on. I mean, I have issues right now. I can't do FaceTime, but those are bugs that need to be exploited and shown off, because then they'll fix them. You know, all this is getting recorded for the team at Apple. This eSIM is it's to me, it's mind blowing how simple it was, as Apple stuff is, right? Just press a button, done. But the technology behind that is what really fascinates me, because I know there's systems for the iPad. I know there's systems for the Apple Watch eSIM. Now this is a whole nother level where you can do this with one button, Sneedman.
So it's giving you the option to do it remotely, completely, without any support from a tech, from a customer care representative, no QR codes that have to be emailed, downloaded, sent, shared, take a picture of it. That whole jazz doesn't need to happen. I think also the fact that if a carrier doesn't support it, it might still be able to happen. Right.
Possibly,
so all those things, they sound like a win. And I honestly, I mean, this is what carriers in a sense have tried to avoid for a while, is the concept of eSIM on the go, because they want to lock people in and not make it so easy to just be so transient, you know? But I mean, at some point you got to look at it like this. If you're a carrier, hey, their willingness to leave us, there's willingness for somebody to leave another carrier and come to us. So the fact that you could do it remotely, the same thing that leads to them wanting to leave easily also allows them to come in easily. You know what I'm saying, Moose?
Right.
You know, so it's always like a revolving door, and that's where I think the switcher economy of wireless, it just needs to be completely open. And we live in a country where that's promoted and celebrated, you know?
I completely agree that your phone shouldn't be locked, you know? And if, for example, your phone is locked, the eSIM could be unlocked, right? You know, that's a secondary connection that it doesn't affect the primary connection at all.
Totally agree, man.
Now,
what about the other feature, Moose? The one with the, we're talking about the preference for 5G over the Wi-Fi situation.
So this is something interesting that I noticed while on iOS 15, you know, downloading music tracks, whether they're lossless or not, or even watching YouTube videos, Sneedman, my Wi-Fi bars on the top right would disappear and it would just show 5G. And I was like, wait a minute. And then I went into the Wi-Fi settings, and it says right there on Wi-Fi settings, 5G preferred over Wi-Fi. So that's big, because some people's Wi-Fi's, as you know, whether they're at work, or at the hospitals, or at the schools, right?
Or a certain segment of the house.
Right, or a certain segment of the house, your LTE, or your cellular connection is faster than your Wi-Fi, period. in certain circumstances. The phone is intelligent enough to recognize that and shifts you over to the cellular. Amazing, man.
Let's come back to Chucky's question here, and then we'll go back to the 5G and Wi-Fi thing. Chuck's asking, how does eSIM work with switching devices? You essentially have to provision an eSIM onto whatever device you're pushing it to, right? So every eSIM, like if you go to the iPhone, for example, there's really only a handful of devices that support eSIM. What do we got? A couple of Galaxies or one Galaxy, I think.
Yeah.
And then that depends on the carrier. And then pretty much the iPhone and the Pixel devices dating back to the Pixel 4, I think.
Yeah, I think in Pixel 3, yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of got to, you just have a handful of devices. But what you do is you get the EID of the phone.
Right.
And that'll identify the eSIM as opposed to the physical SIM. And actually, in iOS, you see it. It says physical SIM number, and then it says the digital SIM number too.
Correct.
So, yeah, it's not really a painful process. What I've noticed though is that it's become kind of problematic for the carriers when you call and try to get it done. And what if you're calling on the phone line that you're trying to do? Like that's kind of a pain, dude. And Moose, I think you were onto something when you said you were really pushing for the development of an eSIM activation application. I thought that would be brilliant. I thought of that like, dude, you do it within a portal. You know what I'm saying? An activation portal of sorts.
You know that the first type of application came in 2018 from T-Mobile, and they only allowed prepaid lines and exclusively brand new prepaid lines to be on eSIM. Then the next step was Verizon on the My Verizon app allowed you to convert on the app from physical to eSIM. With this changes the game, man. I don't need to go into the My AT&T app. I don't need to go into the T-Mobile app. I don't need to go into any app. I do it directly from the system settings. It takes 30 to 45 seconds to activate on the network, and then boom, you're done. That's it. And now there was one other thing that I wanted to say, though. With eSIM, let's say you are on like the iPhone upgrade program, Sneedman. So like every year you're going to get the latest iPhone on launch day, for example. As soon as you transfer over everything from your previous phone to your new phone, it also transfers the eSIM. So you don't have to do anything. That's the beauty of, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. You don't have to do anything.
I think that's the way it was designed, right? Like that's the streamlining process was what it was really for. iOS 15 has some major changes. It's incredible how much they were trying to evolve the phone and other devices. Totally agree. That's the name of the game, though. You know what? Honestly, David, I still like the concept of physical SIM, but in my case, I love the fact that I have multiple eSIM profiles. I'm loving it. Moose, let's circle back to that 5G over Wi-Fi thing. So the holdup up to this point, I think that's prevented the 5G from being a primary connection even over Wi-Fi is the fact that technically cell plans are still metered. Not metered in that they cut you off in most cases. Some plans do kind of, right? Like some plans boosting people or throttling people down to 2G speeds after 35 gigs and all that. But really the problem is that all of our plans, with the exception of a couple, Magenta Max, AT&T Elite, Verizon's older unlimited plan, those feel like real unlimited plans. But a lot of people are on like 22 gig deprial threshold, 35, 50 gig, 100, you know what I'm saying? So even the fact that we have 5G plans now, like these higher end plans, it's almost like the carriers have gone, or Apple's kind of knows, like people have a very limited experience with their LTE/5G.
Right.
But I think this is an indication that with C-band as well as new mid-band holdings, CBRS, now we're going to start to see a more truly unlimited-like experience with our cellular plans, and we don't have to tie down upgrading your software, monthly security patches, Android versions, iOS versions. We don't have to do it over Wi-Fi anymore. We can do it over 5G. And actually, in my opinion, we should be able to do it over LTE too. But
Yes.
for whatever reason, like the last few generations of iOS have prevented it from happening. You need to be on Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where things get kind of touchy. What if you don't have Wi-Fi? What
Yeah,
if
there's a
your
lot of people.
primary connection is LTE and you live in rural America and you choose, or maybe you live in urban America and you don't need home Wi-Fi, like you use hotspot data for a TV, or maybe you don't watch traditional TV. Maybe you watch on an iPad or a tablet or your computer monitor or laptop or whatever. Like, that's the one thing I feel like has been really frustrating. You're trying to update your phone, your iOS version, and you can't do it unless you do it over Wi-Fi. So you're going to have to go to the library. You're going to have to go to freaking Starbucks to upgrade your OS. Dude, come on, man.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed back in the day, right, before iOS 14, was in order to update my, iOS, you had to go into Wi-Fi range. And I was like, this is ridiculous. My LTE is faster than the Wi-Fi in certain circumstances. Why can't I do it over?
Why couldn't somebody take their Verizon SIM, right, or whatever, and they're at the mall and there's a CBRS site and they can update their phone?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't they go on a millimeter wave node and update their phone?
Exactly.
A 3 gig file or whatever, or wherever they are. Do it whenever you're doing whatever you're doing,
Most people's ISPs aren't 3 gigs, 2 gigs, 5 gigs of down. So I'd rather do it on millimeter wave because it's going to be done faster anyways.
King Sniper is saying it's only working on AT&T.
It's only working on AT&T. This is big. That means
DJ, kick the music.
I gotta play this. Hold on. Hold on. I wasn't ready.
Maverick? What's up, info assistant? Tried doing it once over App and it was disappointed even with 3 gigs.
By the way, and this is lossless. And this is being played on lossless.
DJ, kick the music.
So, I mean, come on, guys. People were dogging on AT&T that they didn't have good eSIM support, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying, Sneed? They were talking all this ridiculousness. And then when Beta 1 comes out, they're the only ones that are able to do it. Come on, man.
Gotta call a spade, man.
Yeah. Now, I can't say this, though. There is still a lot of bugs with that 5G preference over LTE or over Wi-Fi, right? 5G over Wi-Fi. I will say this. Certain circumstances, the phone is going to think that the 5G is faster than the Wi-Fi, right? Because the signal strength of the 5G is stronger. I'm not sure what algorithm they're doing to, predict that the 5G is faster. But I can say this. There are certain circumstances where 5G is actually slower than Wi-Fi.
Oh, Moose, could you imagine, Verizon DSS over N5?
Yeah.
Compared to a Wi-Fi connection?
Or, Tyrone posted a video this weekend. I mean, 3 Mbps 5G on T-Mobile, man. 3.
Yeah, if it's a band 71 connection that's congested, if it's an N5 connection that's congested. I mean, the N5 connection on AT&T is 5 megahertz.
Yeah, exactly.
It might be good, but it might not be. I mean, skinny channels are skinny channels.
Exactly.
And if a lot of users are on that network slice, it's going to be crappy.
And I think this is a good pivot to explain why they're doing this now, right? The future proofing, because the X60 modem is coming.
Yeah. Now think about it, Moose. This is beta, right? So this is the early onset. This is designed for developers, and it's kind of trial and error. Right. So they're going to work through this for the next 3-4 months pretty diligently to make it better.
That's right.
So, a lot of people are downloading this and they're doing it on, a 1 or a 2-year-old phone or a 3-year-old phone. Right. So some people are saying that they can even get it on their 6S.
Right.
My thing to that is, number 1, you can't do eSIM. Number 2, you can't do 5G.
Right.
So what are you really doing here? Yeah.
First of all, upgrade
I can't wait to look at the new dark mode on the new iOS 15 beta.
Just go get a new phone if you're on a 6S, man. Jesus.
You got people still replacing batteries, dog, on like 5Ss.
I cannot believe you, man. This is crazy. So, right, it all leads to the X60 because we know, right, we've had intelligence since 2019, or sorry, since 2020, right? Summer of 2020, that the X60 is so hot on the iPhone, it's going to be able to do multiple carrier aggregations on 5G.
Yeah, that's going to be the game changer. It's going to be good stuff, man. It's there's two things going on here. We got a tug of war happening between the carrier side with the networking and then also the hardware side with the modems. So it looks like the antenna technologies are pretty good, Moose.
Yeah.
The iPhone's got really good millimeter wave. It looks like the Sub 6 is pretty good and it's on point. MediaTek's up in the game. You know, I got to call a spade a spade. They're already doing the carrier aggregation with N71 and N41. So that's good. I mean, it's pretty promising, man. And end of the year, I mean, heck, bro, I'm probably going to keep one of my iPhone 12s. I'll sell the other one.
Right.
And then
put everything eSIM one. Right?
Right. Yeah. So should be simple enough, I guess.
Yeah. And of course, we're going to keep reporting on what changes they do, right? Beta 1 is always like the test, like the true test of what's super radical that they went above and beyond and they need to like pull it back, or what software tweaks they have to do from the code to change the 5G versus LTE, or sorry, the 5G versus Wi-Fi, or even the eSIM conversion, right? I mean, lots of things are going to change, but the fact that there's a button, the fact that there's 5G preference over Wi-Fi, these are really great strides for cellular, because it's showing that for the first time, this is how I see it, for the first time, Apple is actually saying to you, if you don't have Wi-Fi, no problem. You can do everything on your iPhone or iPad on 5G. And two, and more importantly, 5G is a better technology than Wi-Fi. That's, I think, another big story.
Yeah, and that's a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I don't know when that would happen, but definitely not anytime soon. I mean,
Right.
every Wi-Fi is dependent on the ISP, the hardware it's running through, interference issues that could potentially be happening. I mean, there's a lot of things, but honestly, I think what this is I think Verizon had a hand in this, honestly. And I think the seeds were sown last year when Hans was up there with the Now and Later Gators on, you know, and he was talking about 5G, you know. I think that's where those seeds were first planted, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because really, over the ultra wideband, it makes sense. But we've got a new player in ultra wideband, and that's C-band.
Right.
And that's going to change the network experience for not one carrier, but two on a dramatic level, and then the other third one as well, just on a smaller scale. So T-Mobile's got some C-band across the country. I forget the number of markets it's in. You know, it'll be in certain places. And then AT&T, it's going to be national. And then Verizon, it's going to be national and huge. Right? So it's, you know, AT&T is going to have some markets with up to 100 megahertz channels. That's big. 80 is big too. Right? I don't want to downplay that. But Verizon is going to be doing, I mean, they're doing fixed wireless access through this stuff. So it was only a matter of time until, as long as the spectrum was going to be there and these channels were getting deeper, that the cell phone manufacturers were going to have to allow this. You know, and this is something, you know, a lot of people are talking about, what's the use case of 5G? Well, here's one of them. Right now, it's actually going to be a dedicated connection that's not ancillary. You know, previously, carriers were always telling you, do as much of your heavy lifting over Wi-Fi as you can. Well, now these operating systems are now telling you, no, you can prefer your mobility network over, you know, your home wireless or your work wireless or whatever.
Now, this perfectly pivots into our fourth topic, which is the Apple Music lossless and spatial audio and Dolby Atmos support for Apple Music has officially launched as of yesterday. Now, a lot of folks have been, you know, texting me today, how do I get it? You can get it now on 14.6 iOS for Apple Music. However, 14.7 beta 2 gives you the option of, I have it right here. Hold on, give me 1 second. High resolution lossless, which I have confirmed, Sneedman, you asked me to research, and I talked to my guy who's in the know. He has Apple engineers he's friends with for many years. You need a minimum of 10 to 15 Mbps always in order. Yes, exactly. I was like, what?
Wow.
You need 10 to 15 Mbps always to have no interruptions in your stream. I was like, whoa. Like what I mean by no interruptions in the stream is this, man. If I'm playing a song and then it shuffles into another song, currently there's a lag because you're downloading minimum. This is what it says on the official settings of Apple: 145 megabytes, not bits, megabytes with high resolution lossless at 24 bits or 192 kilohertz. Dude, this is a huge difference.
Well,
I mean,
you know what that means, Moose, is that's another bandwidth hog.
Exactly.
You know, so now it's not just video. Oh, and by the way, 1080p video probably requires, what, 6 to 8 megabits per second? Yeah. Like if you want uninterrupted, non-disrupted 1080p video, you need 6 to 8 megabits. This goes beyond that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I mean, this is extremely high resolution.
I think they call this high fidelity sound, right?
Yeah, this is hi-fi.
That's the technical term. Okay.
But now that you're adding the Dolby Atmos portion, that takes it to a whole nother level. Because,
which is pretty nice, dude.
I mean, I've been testing it with my DAC. So I have a DAC. I've told you about this from Dragonfly. You have to have like a connector, a Lightning to USB-A and a Lightning connector. I plugged that thing in, and you're able to, actually hear the difference in the lossless. I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm blown away with the difference. However, I was very nervous, man, when I switched it from Wi-Fi to to LTE 5G. Would it hold up? It was a significantly longer load time. Significantly, wow. Man. I mean, we're talking like a noticeable, instead of like, as soon as you press skip, boom, the next one loads. And the reason why is because the previous version of high efficiency was only 1.5 megabytes. Now we're multiplying that exponentially, man, by like 1,000%.
Well, I mean, you're going from 1.5 megabits per second required. You're gonna. It's got like a 10 multiplier essentially.
Yeah. Let me see right here. Hold on.
10 times the bandwidth. I mean, look, if it gets adopted,
it's 100%, 100 times.
Okay, so if it gets adopted, on a grand scale, before we get more network upgrades, then we're in trouble, because that's just another thing to be managed.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think what's going to end up happening here, Moose, is there are going to be people on certain plans that they will not be able to properly stream this high fidelity sound. Like, think about it. How many plans out there? Like, who's got a Magenta plan? They're getting 1.5 megabits per second. Who's got a Verizon Starter Unlimited plan? They've got 1.5 megabits probably. AT&T prepaid's probably at 1.5 megabits. Like, there's a lot of plans out there from MVNOs that are probably stuck in that same restriction. So I would guess at least 2/3 of Americans who are utilizing a cellular service provider, at least 2/3 have some sort of a restriction on high fidelity music playback.
Wow.
At least. And honestly, those that have the higher tier music playback probably don't even know it. Gee. So who here is on an old Sprint legacy plan that gave them the high fidelity music playback? I mean, it's probably a small percentage. How many people are on a true Verizon Unlimited plan, either on the 2017 new Verizon or the 2005 Unlimited or the Get More, the Do More? Or no, it's Play More, not the Do More. It's the Play More that gives you the high fidelity music. So you see how it's like, and who's on an Elite plan versus
Check this out here, and you're absolutely right, Sneed, man. Even Apple tells you straight up, when you go from high quality, which is 1.5, right, to 145 plus, megabytes. It says, please confirm high-res lossless streaming. High-res lossless streaming will consume significantly more data than high quality and is not recommended for cellular connections. They straight up tell you.
So that's a warning that it's not going to do it. You know, they're telling you to get on Wi-Fi.
Yep.
But just to listen to music to get on Wi-Fi is an absurdity.
You know, I think there's some audio files, you know, you and I, we've talked about this. If we're going to listen to music, there's 2 ways we're going to listen to music. Actually, 3 ways we're going to listen to music, right? When we're working out.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, when you work out, the Beatz headphones and all AirPods support spatial audio, lossless, and Dolby Atmos. So you will have the capabilities to do it with your hardware. But, you know, if you're on T-Mobile, there's some gyms that they don't have connections. You know, they don't have connection at the gym. Or even some with AT&T, very few with Verizon. But guess what? Verizon has already this restraints on the data, you know, the cap, you know, the data cap.
Depends on, they got a couple of plans that'll be fine, but I'd be hard pressed that there's more than 3 or 4 Verizon plans that'll take care of this. Like the 2017 plan, the original unlimited plan, those are good. The other ones would be the Get More and then the Play More. I don't think the Do More does more than 1.5 megabits for, I think they give you something else. I think they gave like 1080p video instead of that. It was really, I don't know if, do you remember those 4 plans back in the day? And the Play More and the, I forget what there were 2 middle plans. And when you looked at them, they were slightly different in the video playback and the music playback. It's ridiculous. One of those will be good for this and one of them won't be. And they don't offer one of those plans anymore. So, so what do they have? Like 2 plans that cover it now?
Yeah, I mean
and you're gonna need you're gonna need which AT&T plans are you gonna have
you
to
have
get this?
to. I think you can do it even on a starter plan because of the no cap. You know what I mean? Like the no cap in terms of the data speed. But there is a cap with
we'll
video.
Have to ask the community, bro.
There's still a cap on the video. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a cap on the thing. But let me tell you something even crazier, Sneed, man. With just 7 songs at the highest resolution, you're already doing a gig of download. You know what I mean? You've downloaded over a gig of files in just 7 songs at the highest resolution.
That's crazy.
Dude.
Wow.
This is dangerous. So they tell you straight up. So let's recap, right? Lossless is officially turned on. You need 14.6 to activate it. iOS 14.6. You can download it now. 14.7 beta 2 is out. It's my friend is saying to me right now that at high res, it's crashing his app because it's such high download files that it's literally taking too long and it's
timing out.
Yeah, exactly. Timing out and it just crashes the app. With my version for iOS 15, it doesn't crash, but keep in mind, I've been here in Southern California now for 4 days. I'm doing the gig, Spectrum plan, so I don't have issues with the Wi-Fi. But with 5G, there's a significant time to load that song. You're definitely going to need to be on ultra wideband if you want to do this. You're definitely going to be on an N41 site if you want to do this. Band 71 is questionable. I mean, dude, it's
crazy. You're going to need a plan. You're going to need the connection.
Yeah.
That's just so much bandwidth. Honestly, Moose, I think the X factor is going to be the adoption rate of this and how soon it catches. How soon before people are asking for this? Like you go into a store, a T-Mobile store, Verizon store, an AT&T store. I want to change my plan. I need better access to do this. I just tried it and it sucked. It's saying I need more bandwidth, or it's unenjoyable, or it's buffering, or could you imagine a buffering song, dude? I'll snap. It's one thing to have a momentary glitch in the matrix with a buffering video, but if I get a buffering song over Apple Music, I'm shutting it down, bro.
Well, you're just going to downgrade to instead of the highest.
Yeah, I'm shutting it down. I'm going to be pissed because I was trying to get some sort of high def audio playback.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, Sneed Man, though. Once you get AT&T Fiber here by next month, do you foresee any issues by being on the highest resolution music?
Like in terms of the overall network performance, will it take
Right,
a
right.
hit?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It, like I said, it's going to depend on how this catches. Like, is Apple going to really push and promote this, and will they get people to adopt it quickly? Or is it going to be more of a gradual adoption where we see a little bit by the end of the year, maybe more so in 2022? You know, like that's how I'm looking at it. When does lossless audio, spatial audio, when do all these cool audio features now become a selling point
Mm-hmm.
for Apple as a service? Because if people aren't asking for it yet, then there's only going to be a small number of people who are going to be into this. You know, it's the
Oh,
audiophile, it's the mooses of the world. You know,
I
it's
uh-huh. No, I just got something. My guy is texting me live here. He says the reason why it's a massive delay in the performance of the buffering is because on iOS 15, Apple also introduced this feature for free called Private Relay, which is essentially a VPN always on unless you turn it off in iOS. He's saying that as soon as he turned off Private Relay, which masks your IP address, masks what you're doing on the internet to an extent, of course, that's what's killing the performance. So I'm going to test it out, of course. I'll report back. But he's saying that it's instant. But he also has a good connection. So again, yeah, he could probably do it on this good connection, but can he do it in 100 Mbps? Can he do it at 300? Where's the limit?
I mean, could you imagine? I mean, we've been talking about like VPNs for video usage. Like, say, for example, you're a 100 megabit per second connection, like you're on a site that's got some capacity. Your provider only gives you 480p video because of your plan. You could run a VPN and, you know, get your 1080p and whatever quad HD. Could you imagine having to run a VPN just to listen to music at a high fidelity level?
Yeah.
You know, like it's getting ridiculous. Big John Tech Reviews, thanks, man. Appreciate that super chat, brother. Yeah. So it isn't so. What's good, my friend? Hey, John. Appreciate you, man. Hope all is well in your world, man. Welcome to the show. Thanks for stopping by and showing us some support, man. Thank you. Yeah, I'm telling you, dude. The day where I got to download NordVPN or TorGuard or frickin' Windscribe just so I could listen to, you know, some high fidelity audio. I mean, it's getting bad, dude.
Yeah, and then
What's up,
this
man?
all this actually is a perfect segue into the networks. If we're going to need ridiculously high bandwidth, everywhere, they're going to need small cells. And unfortunately, once again, we are sitting here in 2021, almost now 2022, and we have people saying, I'm going to do a macro network exclusively. I'm not doing small cells.
All right. Hold on. Hold on. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Hold on. All right. Let's frame this right. So what Moose is talking about is Neville Ray was speaking at the investor conference. What is it, Birkenheim or something? What?
Yeah.
Or no, it's Wells Fargo that's going on this week.
Okay, yeah.
Last week was something else. Anyways,
Yeah.
they were asking about the networking philosophy and the methodology of how they're going to be providing capacity and networking in the future. And Neville Ray specifically said that we're going to be a macro-focused, network, and that's fine. To me, macro-focused means 90% of your traffic is going to be on macro sites, 90% or more, right? To me, that's what it means to me, macro-focused, right? It doesn't mean they're not going to do small cells. It just means they're going to de-emphasize them. They currently have 70,000 on air active currently with T-Mobile and Sprint combined. The fact that they want to de-emphasize small cells, the only way I'm okay with it is if there is absolute redundancy, like there are two small cells on the same corner. If there aren't two small cells on the same corner, the only other exception is if it's close enough it's causing interference with the other one. Outside of that, I am not a fan of decommissioning small cells, and I'll tell you guys why. If you decommission small cells, that are on air and carrying traffic, you are going to rue the day, which is probably within the next year or two, where you're going to need them. Why in the world are we regressing? The key to proper networking is densification. What has made every carrier's network better, Moose?
Absolutely right. Densification.
More cell sites. There's no... Bro, I understand shutting down certain macros because those are expensive to operate. Small cells are not expensive to operate, especially when they're your own. Now, if they're not T-Mobile's own small cells and they're expensive, they're paying leases and stuff, then yeah, I mean, that makes more business sense to shut some of them down if there's redundancy. But honestly, dude, it's 2021. We are now start to see these pandemic restrictions becoming lifted. More and more people are out. N41 does not work in certain conditions. We have seen them have problems at airports with interference. We have seen them have problems at stadiums where it does not work. The N41 at the Super Bowl did not exist. They were using millimeter wave.
Right.
See, these are indications that what Neville doesn't tell people, he tries to simplify networking. You can't. You actually can't simplify networking. It's not layer cake. Real networking is dynamic. There's interference. There is planning.
Right.
There's overlays.
Right.
There's teardowns and rebuilds. There's upgrades and there's redundancies and there's all these things.
Multiple fiber connections.
Of course. And there's owner economics in this. Right. See, a lot of people don't. It's hard to put all that in your mind when you're considering all this. But to be honest with you, and big shout out to Keon, he says, "Here we go." Thanks for the super chat, man.
Oh my God!
If the thing I want to focus on here is, if you have to sell something or shut something down because it's at the best interest of you for that moment, if you're going to have to rebuild it or do it again in a year or two, then don't shut it down. Just keep it operating. Why would you put in for another lease agreement with a company, or why would you put in for another permit at a later time? Like, don't do that. The home internet is going to take a lot of bandwidth. The number of phones that are getting Magenta Max are starting to increase and catch some traction. There's increased data deprio levels, increased hotspot and tethering levels. I mean, there's all these things that are happening, right? They're using capacity. And you're telling me you want to decom small cells? They are the absolute thing that is going to provide you with the easiest solution for capacity. And I don't believe that small cells are Band-Aids. They're solutions and they're opportunities to monetize your network. Verizon is putting small cells everywhere. LTE, millimeter wave. AT&T is putting small cells everywhere. I just recorded 2 or 3 videos, guys, on the lookout. AT&T's got C-RAN all over the CLE that are now on and active. The network downtown is incredible. There's no version of downtown experience where it's going to be slow for AT&T or Verizon.
Right, or Verizon, right.
I was testing the N41 all over the CLE, and I never got a speed test above 300 megabits.
Terrible.
But there were multiple tests I got from Verizon and AT&T that were over 1,000. It's not that I'm getting 1,000 megabits on my phone. It's the fact that when my phone is on that connection and another 1,000 are, it's still going to work.
Right.
The N41 is not going to carry that. The macro sites that are a mile away aren't going to help in that situation. It's going to be... Bro, all I'm saying is this. And then, Moose, you can go.
Yeah.
The Neville T-Mobile approach to this, they're caught in the moment. They're prisoners of the moment. We have what we need. Do you know what you need 2 years from now? Because apparently you don't. Because if every year the amount of data traffic doubles or triples...
I mean, look at what just happened with Lossless, right? Look at that.
And
That's
we're gonna have
100%.
new 5G applications, and like all I'm saying is,
Right.
you don't go backwards to go forwards. You just don't do that. I think it's going to be a big mistake, and they're going to regret it. And there's going to be moments you know what the bigger problem is, Moose? They're not doing millimeter wave right.
Right.
That's my bigger concern. Is you're not doing millimeter wave right, and the reason you're not doing millimeter wave right is because you want to focus on macros, and that's the truth.
Well,
For those of you out there that want more millimeter wave from T-Mobile, cut it out. It's not happening because they just told you we're going to de-emphasize small cell. We're going to be at macros. Do you guys think that macros are ideal scenarios for millimeter wave?
no.
They're not ideal scenarios. You can, but it's not ideal.
Let me say something here. You can't put a macro in a neighborhood.
But you could do a small cell.
Exactly. There's certain cities that even though the FCC said you can do everything and anything, right? And it has to be within 2 months, right? The permits and everything, right? They will not allow you to put a macro. They will not allow you to go past X amount of macros. So what's your alternative? C-RAN, small cells everywhere.
But Moose, we have to look at small cells differently. Like Big John Tech Review says, small cells are definitely needed.
Mm-hmm.
They're not Band-Aids. Small cells are solutions.
Right.
Small cells are, they shouldn't be looked as fixes. They should be looked as like networking weaponry. Okay, I've seen it where Verizon has macros every mile, and they still put a small cell between them. Just because. And the handoff is beautiful. The calling is perfect. You don't get any bad handoffs. Like that overlap. I mean, I just took my T-Mobile SIM out of my Pixel because the battery was dying so fast. And it's because the signal strength is always weak. But that doesn't happen with the other carriers because their tower grid is tighter. So the signal is always stronger. It's always connected to midband. PCS AWS is always the primary connection. If T-Mobile is always in a low band answer, well then couldn't they benefit from a small cell as a solution to the bad tower handoffs or the dropped calls or whatever? Like that's what I'm saying. There's more to networking than just putting everything on macros. It's going to backfire. In the markets where they do keep a lot of small cells, those markets are going to be the best markets. I guarantee you, if we look at the root metrics and we look at the markets where T-Mobile has great scores, I guarantee you they have a lot of small cells there. I guarantee it. And the markets like in the CLE where they don't have a lot of small cells, it's not good.
El Paso has small cells. Los Angeles has small cells. Chicago.
Hey, check this out. Check this out. Let's do James. His super chat here. Thanks for that super chat. Go ahead, Moose. Read it and give me your thoughts.
T-Mobile will become the most congested carrier in 3 to 5 years. Will their all Magenta Max plans? Oh, with all the Magenta Max plans, home internet, without small cells, millimeter wave nodes, you can imagine how it will be. And that's absolutely true. We already have people reporting in Las Vegas that the N41's congested, right, Sneed?
I got a good analogy. You want to hear it, Moose?
Of course.
Imagine you own a truck. You have the title. You finished paying it off. You own the truck.
Mm-hmm.
You sell it because it's going to, save you money. It's going to put money in your pocket. You end up moving, buying a business, hauling all the... Now you have to buy another freaking truck?
Or at least
because you're going to start needing it. Now it's going to... So you had a truck. Why would you give up the truck?
Now you have to lease a truck, rent a truck, something.
Exactly. You don't... I look at those small cells as... I look at it as, positive equity. Mm-hmm. Dude, they had literally got them for nothing. They were in the deal with Sprint. I would be trying to keep as many of them as possible. Look, if there's 2 small cells on the same corner, yes, shut one down. But just because one is within 1,000 feet of another one, I wouldn't shut it down. I would let it carry traffic.
Well,
if anything, Moose, I would actually optimize it with specific bands and make it directional.
And different antennas to make it directional, correct.
Now, see what I'm saying?
Here's the thing, Sneed, right? There's 3 carriers right now. There's potentially going to be a 4th carrier with Dish, right? There's only so many light poles in a city. So if you're going to decommission a Sprint small cell, who do you think is going to get that pole next? It's going to be Verizon or AT&T that's going to just come in and be like, hey, it's my permit now, you know?
Is this the proper pronunciation? Haim? Have I been messing it up this whole time? My bad, bro. I'll definitely remember that for the next one. I apologize if that's how it's done. My bad. Yeah. Go ahead.
Somebody's just gonna swoop it up. Somebody's just gonna swoop up that pole that the Sprint small cell was on, Sneed, man. And
all I know, dude, is that when the networks got good, small cells were a big piece of it.
Yeah.
You know, they do offer congestion relief. They bring new capacity, so not just, you know, alleviating congestion, but they create capacity, right? So like if you just maybe the network was just good enough. Well, now you have additional capacity. You can monetize that. Verizon's going to monetize millimeter wave. You know, AT&T is going to do it with enterprise too. It's not just Verizon. I'm like, seriously, dude, like every paper I read, every data set that I read, you know, and I go through, it all points to, you know, the capacity of the future that's going to be needed. Everybody wants to do everything wirelessly. Everything wants to do everything with mobility. How are we going to, how do you get rid of the things that give you that?
I mean, are we going to just sit here, Sneed, 2021? Apple just introduced this high-res audio, right? That's requiring minimum 10, possibly even higher, right? What happens once things go fully 4K to your phone, right? You're going to need minimum 25 Mbps, right? For the 4K resolution. Then 8K. They're going to be needing 100, you know, because it's going to be 4 times, right? 4 times more bandwidth each generation. You need more and more and more, like you told me.
I would rather have a dedicated small cell, fully developed, optimized, and properly constructed than widening an N41 channel from 80 to 100 megahertz.
100%. You know what, right? You know why, right?
What do you mean? It's a separate site.
Correct.
With a full antenna array.
Right. And more capacity, right?
Of course, yeah. And it's going to support and it's going to segment users on the network more responsibly. You know, like seriously, I don't understand how, like, I have nothing bad to say about small cells. Like, when, like, Verizon and AT&T have literally said that we're ready for C-band right now, our current macro grid is tight enough where we're good with the C-band, then there's only one thing left to do, and that's small cells.
Right. Here's something that we always overlook. It's not just small cells, right, Sneed Man? We need in-building solutions. You know, we need DAS systems.
He didn't talk about that.
It's completely irrelevant, and I know why. It's because it takes a long time to deploy, to build it inside of a building. And it costs a lot of money compared to a small cell or a macro even, you know. For example, I always talk about this, you know, story. Back in 2016, T-Mobile finally launched 3 macro sites at LAX. Before that, there was only one sector looking directly at each of the 7 terminals within LAX. Can you imagine that is the worst performance out of any airport in the world probably back in 2016. Now there's 4 sites, right? 3 within the loop of LAX, multiple on the outside looking in, and then the same one that's kind of like on the entrance area. Is that enough? No, because still when you're inside the terminal, you're getting 1.53 Mbps from low band. So you need an in-building DAS. You need additional ways to, like you said, pull the users from the macro to a small cell. do another system so that you have more capacity on the street.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it just makes sense. Because what I've seen is I've seen the way that the CLE has been engineered. I've literally watched what's happened over the last 3 or 4 years in networking here, and I saw what Verizon did. I witnessed it. I saw them put 4 microcells in 1 mile. I saw them do 2 small cells in a mile. And I saw what it did for the network, because you can't do a macro in that situation. There's nowhere to put it. Well, you can't put a macro on somebody's house. You sent me a picture of a T-Mobile N71 hanging off the side of a house. That is absurd.
It's true. I showed you the wooden pole. The wooden pole.
I never thought in a million years I would have saw that. The wooden pole looks crazy. Like if a truck jumps the curb, it's over.
Not even a truck. I mean, even with a car, it's over.
Michael, you bring up the point of 6G, and that's forward looking. I think, unfortunately, if I look at the 3 carriers as they stand, Verizon is a very forward looking company. Like in terms of like unique technologies, they seem like they're like on the cutting edge. Like we talked about enterprise and mech and all of that. They're like really far ahead in that development. So we've always known that about them. AT&T, they're also into that as well. We get, the occasional news blurb about what they're doing behind the scenes, and we know they have close ties with vendors and stuff like that. T-Mobile sometimes does it too. They sometimes show that, but they're the least forward-looking when it comes to networking with, like things like this. They feel so reactive as opposed to proactive. You know what I'm saying, Moose? Like they could be proactive here in just making their network bulletproof, and they're saying we're gonna pull back the reins on small cells.
Well, not only that, but you've said this multiple times where ROR CapEx, we're gonna reduce it from what it is now. It's ridiculous, man.
I hate that's one of the things that I really don't like. Mm-hmm. I really hope they change that. I don't see how their 5G networking is better with a reduction to $9 billion capex in 2 or 3 years. Or what is it, 2 years, right? They want by 2023?
Right.
No way, dude. I really hope they don't do that. I hope that's just empty talk and that's going to change, because there's no indication that their competitors are going to slow. Verizon's not coming out and saying we're going to drop our capex to $12 billion. AT&T's holding above $22 billion every year. That's 2 years in a row, and that's going to be a third year. Verizon and AT&T have $10 billion dedicated towards C-band. Those are 2 things I like. T-Mobile's marketing is on fire. Literally, I see a commercial every time I watch TV. Sometimes several. People are adding lines. They're doing 1 million ads each quarter. There's so many good things that happen from the growth side. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't, bite the back of their leg when their network gets so overloaded with stuff, and they're going to have to start redeploying small cells. That's going to be an "I told you so" moment.
It's going to happen, Sneed. You're predicting the future.
Honestly, bro, I don't see how. I would try to retain as many as possible. Instead of de-emphasizing, I would retain.
Right.
I wouldn't come out and say I got too many that I don't need. Like, dude, they're talking about getting rid of 20,000. Really? Is it like, do you really have that many? You can get rid of 20,000 and your network wouldn't benefit? I was surprised, man. I was really surprised.
I mean, Sneed, man, here's the other thing, too. I know one Sprint small cell nearby to where I'm at right now, they're going to decommission it, and it's in a place where T-Mobile is unusable service. So why the hell wouldn't you switch it to a T-Mobile small cell?
They need to actually upgrade that small cell.
Right.
They need to optimize it. They need to modify it and make it more effective. I'm guessing that some of these small cells are older legacy small cells that aren't working properly, or they have limited functionality. Maybe they're just not good. But what if you made them good? What if you made them better? What if you're Your legendary T-Mobile networking team could make them awesome. You know? I don't know, dude. Here's the thing. This is actually what I'm afraid of. This is a hot take, Moose, but I have to say it. I think they want to reduce the number of engineers they have.
I guarantee you that they want to reduce the amount of employees overall that they have.
And I think part of that's the engineering team. The less small cells they have, the less engineers they need to manage those small cells.
Yeah.
They have a small cell team. You know that, right, Moose?
Yep. They had a small cell team. I mean, I even did projects to deploy some small cells, but the way that they did small cells is so weird, man. There was two versions. A strand mount, which is something on a freaking...
Bro, it's junk.
It's like on a wire, dude. It's like...
Bro, you can't connect from 3 houses away.
Oh, my God. It literally is on from pole to pole, and it's looking down. It's not even looking horizontally into the horizon. I was like, I don't even know what the heck this is going to do. And me being naive, I explained to them, I was like, hey, so the thing's going to be pointing down. How the heck is anybody going to connect to this? And they're like, oh, well, when you're driving past it. I'm like, so what, for the 0.5 of a second that you're driving past this thing? Okay. The second one, small cell, it's pointing out. So it's just going directly in front of it, but it's not doing a 360. See, that's the problem, man. The solutions that they picked, it's not good. Maybe because the small cells cost too much. But then I keep going back to what you were telling me. Each millimeter wave node is $17,000.
Yeah, when you're the owner.
Right.
The owner economics makes sense, but it doesn't look like T-Mobile owns them. You know, it looks like they're going with Crown Castle and whomever else.
Yeah, I remember for a couple of the projects back in 2016, T-Mobile was heavily reliant on Crown Castle for the backhaul, but the project was outrageously expensive to today's standards. And that was only 20 small cells. Can you imagine?
So, Moose, look, I understand a couple of things about what Neville Ray's trying to do.
Yeah.
If sometimes it actually makes more sense to simplify your business to make your business better. Mm-hmm. We're going to do 2 things, but we're going to do them great. As opposed to doing 5 things moderately good. If that's the perspective, I'm with Neville Ray. Let's really focus on capacity with macro sites. The problem is you can't put macros everywhere. And there's no more low band to go around.
Right.
And the mid band is expensive.
Massive.
It's more expensive than millimeter wave.
Ridiculous, right?
You know, people were talking smack about millimeter wave being expensive. Au contraire, mon frère. The research and the data suggest that the most cost-effective way to build capacity is through millimeter wave densification. And the more millimeter wave you broadcast, the cheaper the operations get on capacity. They're actually, I think, this is just me guessing, I'm thinking aloud, I think they're trying to make their business a little bit more streamlined. They want to make the engineering job easier. Not having to manage as many small. You get what I'm saying, Moose? It's like, you know, we have a store and we have 3 lines. We have 3 cashiers. If we had 12, right, that's lots more avenues to get people out sooner, but we might have less effective cashiers. Like if I have 3 good cashiers and 9 crappy ones, then I'm going to have more problems because of the 9 crappy ones. You know what I'd be better off just running 3 efficient good ones, you know?
Maybe the T-Mobile network is not software defined. Remember that term?
Yeah, but that's gotta change. I mean, that's gonna change with Open RAN. I know they said they're kind of gonna take a wait and see approach with Open RAN.
But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because how come Verizon and AT&T don't have these issues? Why are we constantly hearing, oh, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do this? Is it a money issue? Is it a infrastructure issue? Is it a reliability issue? Is it your core doesn't work? 911 calls can't even go through. I mean, Jesus, man. Like, it's unbelievable. How many more problems, how many more excuses, how many more things are you not going to do simply because you're trying to save $1? You know what I'm saying, Sneed?
Yeah, that's got to stop. The the cost cutting where you can't do that.
Yeah.
No compromise. Like the reliability can't be compromised because of cost. There has to be some redundancy. You can't avoid it. There has to be densification. You can't avoid it. They're not going to win 5G only on one thing. It has nothing to do with spectrum. It has nothing to do with even the CapEx. It's really going to be densification. You need overlapping cell sites. Like when we look at these maps, you know what Verizon said at the to Wells Fargo? He said sometimes we have tower sites that go down and nobody notices.
Yeah, because there's another one right there.
That's what I'm saying. So if, like, say for example, a T-Mobile macro site goes down, it's doing a lot of lifting in an area of square mileage. There's gonna be a lot of trouble. Rami, what up, my dude? Yeah. Oh, dude, I love that photo, man. The little silhouette there. You can see the beard. Yeah, good vibes, man. Appreciate you coming through. Yeah, if you have a predominantly macro-based network, then what happens when one of the macros goes down? It's big problems.
It's done. So
You gotta embrace the grind, dude. You know how I am. Densification's huge, man.
Of course. It's macros, small cells, in-building solutions. It requires everything.
I mean, make the in-building solutions your last step.
Yeah.
But you can't de-emphasize small cells. Those things are up and running, and they've got traffic on. Don't shut them down. Seriously, upgrade them, if anything. Make them awesome. Hashtag make small cells great again.
Here's the other thing that when we were talking about this a while back. So, okay, you don't want to do small cells. You are absolutely right, Sneed, when you said, I'd rather have a small cell than to boost by 20 megahertz.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because remember, 100%. The rule of thumb has always been for every 5 megahertz on a specific band, it's 75 to maximum 100 users per 5 megahertz. And that's barely able to scratch the surface of 2 Mbps per person. So realistically, that 20 megahertz isn't going to do that many more additional people. But if you have a couple small cells, it's definitely going to be doing significantly more people because it's covering a larger area. Remember, a sector on a macro site is looking at a specific direction, but there's always going to be a null zone within that 3-sector cell site. That null zone is where you put the small cell. Done. Now you have a completely 360 coverage from the small cells and macros. Everything's good.
Maybe we have to look at it from a different scope. Maybe because Verizon and AT&T own their own small cells and CRAN, it's just so much better and easier for them to do it. Maybe it's just that much more expensive for T-Mobile. Maybe it is.
Oh, man, I love David Hall's comment. Who needs backup generators? I can't believe it. We're still in 2021, man.
What else, Moose? What else we got?
Oh, God. We're going to move on because it's just going to be a rant. It's going to be a rant. Okay, so transitioning to the next topic, we're going to go to partnerships, right, for carrier partnerships. Earlier today, AT&T, Google Stadia partnership. The details, let me read out the details really quickly. Highlights, 6 months free of the pro version. I think there's 2 versions. I haven't really looked into it that much, but originally $9.99 per month. They're giving you 6 months for free. And this is the big one. I mean, you and I were both surprised when we heard about this. The controller plus the Chromecast Ultra is discounted $80 to $19.99. Originally priced $100, $99.99. AT&T is giving you $80 savings just because you are an unlimited wireless customer with a 5G phone, or you're an AT&T fiber customer. Anything above 300 Mbps and higher will get this great benefit. Thoughts, Sneedman? There you go.
All right, so let's go ahead and peep out what we got here on the deets. All right, so they're giving you 6 months of the Stadia Pro, as you described. So that would be what, like the second level, the higher premium tier.
Right.
If you are a 5G phone wireless subscriber or a fiber internet subscriber.
Right.
And it says you'll also get a break if you need to buy a hardware bundle. So that would be the Chromecast and then the controller.
And I'm assuming, Sneed, a lot of people now have AT&T fiber and they have AT&T wireless. You could probably get 2 controller and ultra bundles for $19.99 because it's per account. And since the fiber account is different than the wireless account, you can get both.
So they're giving you 6 months of Stadia Pro,
right?
No extra charge, to new or newly upgraded fiber internet customers as well as wireless subscribers with eligible plans that buy or upgrade 5G capable phones. If you need gear to play in the living room, you can also buy a Stadia Premier Edition bundle, Stadia controller, and Chromecast Ultra at a heavily discounted $20. So I think what does that usually cost? 100 or 80?
The controller plus the Chromecast,
the bundle,
$99.99.
Okay, so you're saving $80.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even including the service, which is also for free. So this, Moose, I think this is a response to the Apple Arcade, Google Play. I think this has been in the works. I think, moving forward with 5G, there's the gaming piece of what it's going to do, so it makes sense, to have this. This is pretty good. It's very Verizon-esque when you think about what's being offered here. And that's good. And look, we're all about sweetening the pot here. Whether it's Netflix on us with T-Mobile or it's the Hulu and Disney bundle with Verizon, they're making the plans better. They're enticing you to, go over to their company and get wireless and fiber. See, I like this because this qualifies 2 different services. So if you like what you have on T-Mobile and wireless, but you have AT&T fiber for home, you still qualify for this.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. You don't have AT&T fiber available to you. You got the wireless, right? You get a 5G phone, boom, you're good.
Right. And I think this is interesting because in the past, AT&T has had a really bad reputation of advertising free things like this. For example, did you know that there's 6 months free Spotify subscription if you're an AT&T customer? I didn't know.
So they're going to have to do commercials for this, Moose, and they're also going to have to blast it on the website.
Yeah.
And, you're going to have to get Lily up there and play in the Stadia with her controller and stuff and the Chromecast.
And something that I know Tyrone and I were talking earlier, because of this, it was like, okay, how do you like cloud gaming, right? Where you download something. Well, I'm fortunate enough in Dallas to have the gigabit fiber, which the SMT headquarters, the corridor, is going to be getting it next month. When you have a really reliable fiber connection, you can download anything quick.
All right. So what Rami's saying is Google Stadia cut their services down quite a bit since launch. I think they no longer want to operate the studios, right? Like the production of the games, but they still they're still running the services, right?
Right.
Okay. So I don't know what the situation is. I know that there's a lot of titles. Aren't they up to over 100 titles now?
Yeah, I mean, they have some of the big ones, like Cyberpunk works very well on it, I've heard from, YouTube videos. Let's see what else they have. MotoGP, Resident Evil, FIFA 21.
I have to try this. See, that's the thing, Moose. We could sit here and we can critique and criticize and all that's great, but like, if you're going to get it for free from your provider, you might as well try it and see if you like it.
Yeah, like I said, the SMT headquarters is going to get AT&T fiber next month. He's going to be able to get this bundle, no problems, no questions asked. He will be the absolute moment of truth on this. Simple.
I'll definitely try it once I get that service. Ubisoft, I've heard about this. Yeah, that was like a whole slew of gaming titles, I think.
Oh, wow. Ubisoft Plus? So it's like the Assassin's Creed games are on there. Exactly. Oh, man.
Yes.
I love
And I think that's the big one. I think that's what that one's all about.
Right. Now, what are the downsides to this? Obviously, you're going to need a reliable download connection, right? As you could tell on the fiber customers, it says anything above 300 Mbps. So people that are on the 100 are going to have to upgrade to the 300, but that's the same price point. That's not the point. The point is that you need minimum. They're saying, AT&T is saying you need minimum 300 for it to be a good experience on AT&T. That's how I see it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because there's some people that have the 100 tier.
Yeah, but they can get the upgrade for free. There's no charge.
Exactly. It's the same price. So it actually is incentivizing customers to upgrade. That's how I see this. It's like, okay, if you're on the 100, let's get you to the 300. It's the same price. If you're on the 300 and you're having issues, let's go to the 5. If you're on the 5 and you're just having issues, let's go to the gig. And I've been told Tyrone has got some insight about this because he's been talking to some technicians. The 10 gig home internet option is coming. I was
Holy
like,
crap.
what? 10 gig? I was like, what? Who needs 10 gig? And he was like, well, think about what you do, right? Like, let's say the SMT starts uploading Ultra 4K at 60 frames per second video. He's definitely going to need, SMT is definitely going to need some massive upload.
Man. Wow. Darren says, I've been using Stadia for about a year, and it's a mixed bag, but it's great for single-player action. Yeah, so it's probably not like, what we see with computer gaming, the online format with friends and, multiple-player platform. And Rami's the type of dude I think that would love a 10-gig connection. I mean, there are some people, I think, in certain industries,
right?
A 10-gig connection is pretty tremendous. Anybody that's in, large file, professions, you could imagine like photography or, cinematic.
The raw
production.
files alone, man, are huge to upload.
Yeah, sure. Dude. And how do you price 10 gig? It's probably only going to be a little bit more expensive than the 1 gig.
No, what are you talking about? Because from what I've been told, from what Tyrone's been saying, okay?
I was going to say it couldn't be more than $200 monthly.
This is what Tyrone's saying from what I'm being told, right? So Tyrone said they're going to have the 300, the 500, the gig, the 2 gig, the 5 gig, and the 10 gig. Damn, I was like, wow, that's a lot of options. But then eventually they're going to get rid of the 300, the 500. They're going to stick it to 1 gig, 2 gig, 5 gig, 10. Oh my gosh. I mean, why wouldn't you want a gig, Seedman, if it's the same price as the 100?
No, I mean, that's a slam dunk. I mean, why would AT&T offer?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense.
But there's some people, Sneedman, that, like...
If your business was down, here's the way I look at it, Moose. Yeah. If business was down, numbers were down, and your customer ads were slowing, and you were selling, 1 gig, 2 gig, 5 gig, and 10 gig, and your pricing started at $100 and then $150 and $200, like what I'm saying, if that was the setup, and people are like, nah, man, I don't need all that. That's too expensive. Then I would start creating the 500 megabit tier.
Oh God! Again, we're going back down.
But if I'm saying if it wasn't being adopted, if it was the price point, your only option is to decrease the pricing on your current offers, your tiers of speed, or you have to create lesser speed tiers so that way you could sell it for lesser. It's really about the consumer's mind. Yeah. It's not really about what you're selling anymore at that point. You get what I'm saying, Moose?
No, I do. And I was remembering a conversation that I had a long time ago. And I just wanted to pick your brain on this, Sneedman. So imagine broadband is a fundamental human right, in our opinion, right? Both you and I agree.
It's just like lighting. It's just like water bills.
You should have access to it. So let me ask you this. What would you say for $10 a month, $20 a month, you can get 100 Mbps up and down?
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's going to be an older couple that would never need more than that. There would be a single person who would never need more than that.
Right. That type of mentality, and of course, if people who are in need, right?
But but Moose, that's really only if the speeds are a finite resource. With fiber, it's not.
Right. Of course, it's infinite.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
can go up to 100 gigs, 500 gigs,
who
a
knows?
terabit in the terabits range.
Crazy
But
talk.
there's going to be probably some people that are going to want the $20 option. But then at that point, I'm just like, no, man. I think there's like a limit, right? Like you said, if they get rid of the 300, the 500, and they just start at a gig for $35 a month, 45 with the equipment fee, man. I mean, who would want to go down from that?
No, you don't want to go down, but I'm just saying if you were having trouble competing with coaxial that was beating your price.
Dude, Rami, that I'm feel bad, man. Cox, $200 a month.
Yeah,
Damn.
but so Cox Fiber, from what I understand, is actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But that 200 is probably 150 plus 50 to go true unlimited. I guarantee you that's what he's talking about.
Wow.
Because they're gonna, it's probably 150, and then if you go over the, what do they do? It's like 1,024 gigs or whatever. If you go over that, they charge you like $10 per gig, or $10 for every 50 gigs. It's something.
So you just have
stupid.
1 terabyte, right?
Yeah. So you pay the extra $50 and just actually get it unlimited, which is outrageous. That you have dedicated fiber and it has a finite cap of usage. Absurd, dude.
It's ridiculous to me because this is not a water company, right? This is zeros and ones that is completely unlimited, So they're just trying to upsell you on the unlimited upgrade.
Yeah, Big Chuck, thanks for that, bro. Appreciate the super chat. 1 gig minimum equals GOAT. Okay, so yeah, Rami's saying the no cap, no data.
Oh, 200,
cap.
yeah.
He would be paying 300 plus, if not at least over this last year.
Wow.
See? Yeah.
And the SMT is going to be getting the gig option for only 60. Boom. Man, I'm telling you, the day that happens, I think it's going to be a renaissance.
No radios coming and got to monetize those zeros and ones. Bro, don't come in here talking about coaxial, bro. I don't want to hear it. God. I don't want to hear that coaxial business. It's good to see you, Adam, man. Thanks for stopping by, bro.
So now we have one last topic, Sneed, man.
Yeah.
The Boost partnership with DraftKings.
Out of nowhere, dude. I did not see that one coming, dude.
Talk to me about it.
Look, okay, so AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile have a perception amongst the public where they kind of got to be squeaky clean. Betting and gambling is one of those unwritten rules that a lot of men gamble, but they don't like to talk about it in advertising and stuff like this. AT&T would never compete with Boost Mobile with DraftKings. Being able to place bets over your mobile device, getting credits for betting if you auto pay your service with Boost Mobile, it's an interesting way to create a unique partnership. It's no game changer. It's not anything fancy or awesome. I actually think their K-Health partnership is a bigger deal because you're going to get people using K-Health services that are elderly and can actually use a 5G application. If we're looking at this as a 5G application, what, instantaneous betting? Like you're going to bet between quarter 3 and 4 of the Laker game. You're going to bet at the timeout with 2 minutes left, Dallas Cowboys versus Philadelphia Eagles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the over and under and all this other nonsense, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's cool, bro. It's good. It's no game changer, That's the new quote. A lot of men gamble.
A lot of men gamble.
I don't know, dude. I mean, it's kind of cool in that it was something different, but, it's not going to sway shareholders and investors to be like, oh, man, they got that DraftKings deal, bruh. This is not happening.
It's interesting that we have such a stigma because I was researching overseas carriers, right? SK Telecom, SKT, KT, Korea Telecom, and LGU Plus in South Korea. Dude, their partnerships are out the wazoo, like they do stuff that we would never be able to do here, dog. You know what I mean? Like, talking about OnlyFans, they have an
Oh,
equivalent over there. They have dude, LGU Plus has massive partnerships with that service over there, man. Like, you have no idea, dog. I'm talking about, like, every month, if you pay on time, you get $50 in credit to OF. I'm like, God damn.
that's a real thing?
Dude,
That's a real
they
thing?
have their own thing. I forgot the name of the own, like, South Korea version of it, but dude, yes. Like, I'm telling you, man, like, they don't care over there. They just want you to have, please come to our service by any means. God damn.
So is the goal for Boost to literally just have like 20 partnerships as a use case, you know?
I mean, one of them is going to stick to some people. I mean, for example, I was
Yeah.
talking to a friend of mine back in 2018, and when the Spotify partnership launched for the Unlimited Plus plan, he instantly jumped on that versus HBO, right? So I think in 2021, the second half and onto 2022, we'll start seeing more fundamental utilizations of partnerships as a retention play, like you said, Sneed, right? It's all about retention plays, but more importantly, it's going to keep people excited.
Yeah.
Oh, what else am I going to do? You know?
Well, that's the thing. Like, is there ever going to come a time where, you know, you're going to be talking to your homie, you know, you're talking to Bartholomew and he's like, yo, man, I'm with Boost Mobile, bro. I got that DraftKings.
Oh my God. See, this is another thing, Sneed, man. So in the United Kingdom, their 5G plans, they have these different perks. So depending on the price point that you pick for your unlimited plan, not only do you get unlimited data or a capped data, right, like 100 gigs or whatever, you can also choose unlimited roaming. Right, unlimited roaming, or you can choose unlimited BT Sport, which is British Telecom Sport, right? Mm-hmm. Their version of like the Champions League channel, right? BT Sport, or Sky News, right? Sky News Sports, Sky Sports. They have those perks, right? That you can choose that. So they have a sports thing, or for cricket.
They could also do like a business grade perk portfolio versus the
unlimited business Wi-Fi, right? Sure. Unlimited Wi-Fi on the plane, or there's another one, unlimited Ubers, unlimited lifts, or a credit for lifts or Ubers, or even better, unlimited lounge visits at American Airlines or Delta or United, whichever choice.
Amex.
Yeah, Amex lounge. Those are very expensive, dude. Per visit, my gosh. But think about it. If you're a business customer, that's the next level for you, is what perks am I getting by being on this plan? And since COVID restrictions are reducing and people are traveling like nuts right now, people are just dying to get out of the house, those perks are going to be more focused on.
Hey, we got the troll. He's back. Hey, Moose. Wave to the troll. Say hi. Hey, Trollerton. This guy, man. He's always coming through. We welcome the trolls. It's okay. You can hang out, Peter. You can hang out.
Daddy.
Sports work differently in the UK. They're separated bundles from their cable and satellite compared to the US, where cable bundles want you to buy everything. So it allows you to kind of create like a granular setup with how you do your entertainment. Yeah. You know?
Like, for example, what he's explaining there, Ryan, is like Paramount Plus just bought the rights to the Champions League, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Disney, you were the one to tell me this one, Sneed. I didn't even know. Disney got the rights for La Liga for 8 years. Dude, that's huge for the Hispanics,
man. Name two bigger soccer leagues than La Liga.
Premier League, right? Premier League's number one by far in terms of viewership. Then it's La Liga.
It's La Liga, right?
Yeah, huge. Then it's arguably Italian or the French league or even the German Bundesliga. But at the end of the day, European soccer, you're going to want to watch either Barcelona, Real Madrid, at Clásico, or, you know, Manchester United, Manchester City, or Chelsea. I mean, there's so many games. But, you know, the number one sport in the world is soccer by far, right? Millions, billions of people watch it every year in the World Cup, etc. But the thing that really got to me was Disney at the time is also investigating to get NFL Sunday Ticket.
Oh, wow.
On ESPN Plus. That was the rumor at that same article. Dude, That would be a complete monopoly domination from Disney. They have Lucasfilm, they have Fox, they had the Fox assets, Marvel assets, Pixar assets. Then they have now La Liga. What else do they need? Man, they have everything. So
It's a lot.
yeah, it definitely the ESPN bundle with Disney
time.
got much more boost. But what I can't say is this, guys. Steve mentioned this to me when that happened. It's like this makes it harder to let go if I switch carriers, because that means that if I'm not going to be getting it through Verizon, I'm going to have to get it standalone and I'm going to have to pay more money. So there is a benefit to having Verizon if you are in that category, right, Sneed, where you watch soccer, you watch Disney, or your family does, or they watch Hulu like your wife does, right? But then it's like, if you're not in those categories, then it's just about the network. Maybe other carriers are cheaper.
Yeah. I mean, but that's what I think the carriers are trying to create. If they can get you locked into the bundle ecosystem, now you become reliant on that. Well, if I leave this carrier, then I'm getting less somewhere else.
Right.
I mean, the T-Mobile Netflix on Us was cool at the time. There's no evolution to that perk.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't done anything with it. And if anything, we could say that it got more expensive on them, and it's hurt them, like from a monetization standpoint. But like Verizon has added more and more value that is enhanced the offering. So and I think AT&T with HBO Max, that was really good for them. It was really good for them. Not just from the studio perspective, but just offering it with wireless.
I know that we've talked about this. You even mentioned that you're going to be doing a review of HBO Max on the cellular side. How does it function with it? But we've had this conversation many times. HBO Max, from a terms of a value add for you specifically, it reminds you of your childhood, right? I mean, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. There's so many shows, movies. There's arguably a reason to have HBO Max as that service that you can't cancel. If you were to pay for it, right? If let's say you only could pay for 3 services, right? Most people are going to say, "Oh, I'm going to buy Netflix, right? I'm going to have Netflix account. Maybe split it amongst 3 different people so it's cheaper per month." The next one right there is HBO Max, because the free movies, the 2021 movies, The Conjuring is available right now. I just watched it the other day. It was amazing. But do I need Amazon Prime Video? Thankfully it's a free add-on, right? Because I have that Prime membership. But do I need Hulu? Am I going to pay for Hulu? Am I going to pay for Paramount Plus? No, more than likely not.
No.
Do I rather pay for Hulu, or do I pay for YouTube Premium? I'm going to pay YouTube Premium because I don't want those ads.
Good stuff, Moose.
Yeah.
Hey, we're about to ravioli gang, so #ravioli gang. Let me do some shout-outs real quick. Big shout-outs to those that offered Super Chats tonight. Thank you for donating and supporting the channel. We have Keon, Haim. I think there may have been 1 or 2 before that I can't actually go back to. I know Chuck had a couple, and I think that's pretty much it that I could see, but there may have been some from before. So my apologies, it doesn't show up, but thank you guys for the donos. Thank you for supporting the channel. There's other ways to support the channel too. You could become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description box for that. You can also share this video to your Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you got for social media. Share it for me there. Also give this video a like before you guys get to going today. We got #ModSquad for all of my blue wrenches out there. Let's do #ReplayCrew for those of you watching on DVR. And then we'll #2LiveCrew for those of you here at the time of this recording at 7:30 p.m. on June 8th, 2021. Big shout out to Moose. Thanks for joining me, bro. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Always
Thanks for all
a pleasure.
that you do for the community, man. We appreciate you very much. You've always been a great asset, and we thank you for that, man.
Always, man. Thank you.
And big shout out to the troll. Sorry, man. The show's got to end. You're going to have to go and troll somewhere else, bruh. All right. Big shout out to Eugene, a.k.a. Sweaty Armpits, for entertaining us with these comments to these investors and shareholders and CNBC people. So hashtag perspiration crew. That's it, man.
Oh my god.
We out. We out this piece. Peace.
Later.